Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MARG Change Leader Forum. And this come to 2025, we are delighted that we are starting with a new series called Spotlight, where we will have our change management experts come and tell their stories, successes, challenges, and of course, share best practices for how they drove success in the changes they do in their organizations. And these changes can be in terms of driving your AI driven transformations or ERP, merger and acquisitions, or the resultant culture. So, today I'm immensely delighted that the series starts with the two professionals who have their forte in managing large scale transformations and, of course, are experts in the people side of the change. They hail from an organization who has mastered the art of being trusted advisors to their customers, and they call their ecosystem the Trailblazers. So please welcome the Trailblazers from Salesforce, Nidhi Khanna and Ashima Ganju. Welcome, Nidhi and Ashima.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for having me on this podcast. Thank you.
Hi, all. Thanks for having us.
A little more about them before we get into the thick of things. Nidhi is somebody who's with more than 2 decades of experience and has worked across the Fortune 500 companies, one of the big four and a fintech giant. And currently, she's the Salesforce senior manager, agile leader, and of course, the change management advocate there. She, in her career, has led and driven more than 100 plus ERP projects, which were large scale and have been across technologies of Salesforce, Oracle, Workday, and SAP S/4HANA. So, and she has been continuously not just delivering these projects, but delivering the results of additional revenue and efficiency gains. And I think somebody who can do this consistently must have one strength very much there. And that I would say her ability to blend strategy, technology, and leadership, and the leadership which is highly human centered. So today she shall share with us her insights on how to lead the digitalization in this AI driven world. Welcome, Nidhi.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have with us Ashima. Ashima is with more than 7.5 years of experience and is a change management specialist and consultant. Her expertise being, of course, change management, learning solutions, and also instructional design. She hails from Salesforce and she has worked with the 2 of the big fours before that. She is passionate, of course, about change management and knows that to gain success, she has to keep the end users in front. So welcome, Ashima.
Thank you.
So directly kind of into the thick of our topic. So ERP implementations. So if we talk about ERP implementations, we have heard that terminology quite some time, but we are hearing it a lot more these days. So Nidhi, if you can elaborate as to, in terms of scale, complexity, how has this changed and why are we hearing about it so much?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a very valid question, and everyone had that thought in their mind. So I would say that ERP has always been a big deal, but it's why it's in the spotlight right now is mainly because of the pandemic fast-tracking digital transformation, which is pushing business to modernize faster. Plus, with AI and automation and cloud adoption becoming mainstreams, companies are rethinking for ERP strategies to stay competitive. Now, if I talk about the complexity, I would say in terms of change, ERP has always been, highly complex and large scale majority of the time. And it's not just a tech upgrade, as we know, it's about the people impact and their impact to their role, the day-to-day work they do, how businesses are reshaping processes, and of course, the decision-making. And this is the main reason that we emphasize or we say that why we need this change management. That's mainly because of, that's how we do a smooth transition with less disruption and better adoption. So that's the reason we are advocating change management and related strategies for ERP implementations.
Makes a whole lot of sense, because I correctly kind of understand that what you're talking about is the scale with which it comes and the impact it has, multi-location, multi-department, modules which are kind of getting impacted at one go. I think we undermined the adoption piece in the earlier phase of it, and now I think we are seeing the impact it can have when we are doing that. So in continuing with that, Ashima, my next question will be with you, is that what specific challenges do you incur while you kind of do this implementation of ERPs?
Yeah. Implementing an ERP system is like setting sail on a vast, uncharted ocean. You know where you're headed, but the waves of, the unforeseen challenges often surprise you along the way. And one of the significant hurdles I have encountered in ERP implementation is resistance to change. It's natural human instinct to cling to familiar ways. This can pose as a major roadblock when introducing something as comprehensive as an ERP system. For many employees out there, the new system represents a disruption to their established routines, and the idea of adopting to the new way of doing things often brings a sense of unease or apprehension. And apart from resistance to change, the other challenges that we usually notice are, of course, aligning to stakeholder alignment and buy-in, getting all the stakeholders on the same page. It's critical, but it's very difficult. Managing expectations. Another one of the biggest challenges during ERP implementation is managing expectations of the employees and leadership. And often there is a gap between the anticipated benefits of new system and the reality to the transition period. Then there is also an aspect of cultural and behavior shifts. The ERP system not only brings new processes, but also require employees to adopt to new ways of working. This means addressing cultural and behavioral shifts, which can be slow and painful process. And two more apart from that are communication gaps, managing that, and managing the pace of change also. So change fatigue is also a real challenge that we've noticed. And ERP implementation can often, be part of a larger transformation effort within the organization, but employees feel very overwhelmed if too many changes are happening all at once, or if the implementation is moving too quickly. So addressing all of that is very important.
Yeah, it comes to that thing, right? Not just a system change. It is never just the system change. The other things which it triggers is something which if we do not anticipate, we are going to land in these situations. So that becomes very evident that it is not a system change. You are touching mindset. You are touching way of working. Processes are definitely having a huge shift. So how do you not to make change management as another layer? So Nidhi, this question will be to you. How do you integrate the whole change management with the implementation? And if you can explain with an example, it would be great.
Okay. No, absolutely. And I completely agree with the challenge part that you and Ashima's mentioned here. Just want to add some part to that piece, and then I include the response to the specific question. So here, I also feel like everything what Ashma's called out is very, very critical. In addition to it, one thing that I've also seen is there's a customization versus standardization struggle with most of the technology and the ERP part, which really means as when we are doing that kind of technology implementation, do you adapt to the business or you tweak ERP to fit the business? That's a major challenge as well that we come across, along with all our challenges that Ashma did mention. Now, how do we integrate change management practice into our ERP implementation? To answer that piece, I would say change management is woven into every stage of ERP implementation. And to make the transition smoother, that's the entire purpose. And to make, the adoption easy. To be precise. It starts with engaging stakeholders early to understand their concerns, followed by assessing impacts on roles and processes, role-based trainings that ensures people are equipped to use the system effectively, and ongoing, reinforcements like change champions and feedback loop that keeps adoption on track. Okay, so these are the key change management practices that we apply all the time, and that's applicable majority of the time on all sizes of ERP implementation. When it comes to an example, well, in my experience, I can share one example around here, which have been one of the very common ones. Mm-hmm. So as we said, these are large-scale implementation. Some issues were resistant to automation, fear of job disruption, and a process complexity for sure. So that's pretty much what you see with the AI, change coming in. So that's pretty much what we have been seeing across earlier as well. And to address this, we have been collaborating with the client and change leaders, end users, to identify challenges, refine their workflows, and demonstrate them their quick wins, which is very, very important. Right, the moment you show them the quick wins, it completely changed the entire story, and especially the resistance piece of it. We also identify early adopters within team to act as champions, influencing peers and reinforcing positive adoption behavior. So that's very critical for us to have those early adopters. Additionally, targeted engagement sessions, hands-on training, leadership alignment, and real-time support plays a critical role here. So that's what my experience have been with majority of these large-scale ERP implementation. And as a result of this, what we have observed in terms of numbers is the adoption rate have improved to 40%. Procurement errors dropped by 25% on those ERP implementations, and overall system utilization increased by 50% within a rough period of 6 months, we can say. So yeah, that's one thing I would like to pull up.
Number speaking. But when you said the whole thing, which you how the integration works, what came to my mind was the continuous. You have to that continuous, the alignment, the trainings, the reinforcement, and again you are like having the whole thing done. So when Ashima earlier told about fatigue, I can kind of relate to it, sort of, that it can become a long drawn process for the organization, and all those mismatch of expectations with actual, when the implementation hits, it becomes quite difficult. But I think if it is well strategized, and as you said, that at every level we are kind of in building the change management very effectively, then you see the results which we spoke in numbers. So we also say that if we don't measure something, it doesn't exist. So how do we measure this? So Ashima, the next one comes to you as to the metrics. How do you measure ERP success of ERP implementation?
Okay. When we think about ERP implementation, most people immediately focus on the technical side. Did the system go live? Was the data migrated successfully? Did we finish on time, within budget, and all those kind of things? But from a change management and human centered perspective, success isn't just about getting the software to function. Success is also about people experience and adapting to change. So if you think about it, ERP is more of than just a tool. It's an enabler to transformation. And any transformation is only as successful as the people who adopt it. So when measuring the success of an ERP implementation, we need to look through a lens that is deeply focused on how people are interacting with this change. After all, as change managers, our job is to ensure that the people side of the process is just as smooth as the system itself. So, coming back to the point, the matrices for this is one, obviously, that Nidhi also mentioned, the user adoption rates. The first and the foremost metrics is what we look into is to track the user adoption. This isn't just about whether employees have logged into the system, it's about how deeply employees are engaging with the ERP system on their daily tasks. Are they incorporating it into their workflow? Are they utilizing all the features of the tool that it offers? Are they taking advantage of the system's capabilities to improve their productivity? So I look at usage patterns, login frequencies, feature usage, etc. And to me, user adoption is a direct indicator of whether we have successfully addressed the employees' concerns, fears, and learning needs. The second most important metrics is also employee confidence and satisfaction. That's what I next look into. So this is where the surveys and feedback loops come in. While adoption metrics will tell me what is happening, feedback tells me why it is happening. How comfortable do employees feel with the new system? Do they feel empowered or do they feel overwhelmed? A happy employee is an engaged employee, and when they feel confident using the system, they're more likely to embrace the change than, resist it. But if the employees feel lost, if they feel unsupported, it's a direct signal that we need to do tweaking in our training, in our communications, or support strategies. One more thing that I would like to highlight is the return on investment on change management. When we talk on return on investment of change management in the context of ERP implementation, it's about looking at the value generated through successful adoption, integration of the system into the everyday work of the employees. Effective change management reduces that resistance to change, enhances these adoption rates, enables and ensures smooth transition. So ROI here can be seen through a lower training cost, reduced turnover, higher employee engagement, all of which contribute to a more efficient, harmonious, productive work environment. And if employees are on board, they are confident and actively using the system, the ERP will bring sustained productivity gains over time, providing significant ROI beyond the initial investment in the technology itself. And I again refer back to how you started the question. That quote was for Peter Drucker. And he wisely said that what gets measured gets managed. Mm-hmm. And by tracking these right people-centric metrics, we can manage the effectiveness of our change management efforts and ensure that the long-term success of the ER implementation is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And ERP, I think, was like one of the first instances where we talk about that knowing is not doing. I think that gap, if managed well, you can then what is happening? Why is it happening? You're able to find out and fix those things, and that goes. And I think the scope of, if not done well, the impact is very, very immediate. So yeah, so that gives a lot of perspective. Now, again, about change management, very frequently I get that question is, when will this not work? And I feel it will not work when leaders are not intentional. When your stakeholders are not intentional, the organization becomes not intentional in doing what they do. So yes, stakeholders or leaders or of the organization, how do you ensure their alignment? Nidhi, if you can take this question and see that they are engaged, how do you engage the stakeholders into this is a continuous process, a longer process for leaders to be continuously engaged in it. So how do you kind of manage the stakeholder integration part of it?
Yeah, pretty valid question again, I would say. And as we say, at the end of the day, success isn't just about implementation, it's about real business impact. And keeping stakeholders aligned is paramount. So, keeping them aligned during ERP implementation, rollout is all about clarity, engagement, and adaptability. Here's how we approach normally is very first point turns out to be aligning on vision, tailoring communication, encouraging active participation, and leveraging change champions and continuous feedback and improvement. So basically, I have talked about this earlier as well, but just to elaborate those points for you, I would say aligning on vision is very important and an early start. And I would say that's the right start to do. And I work with leaders, an entire team, work with leaders and the functional team to define a clear business case, ensuring everyone understand the why behind the implementation. So that's very, very important. Coming back to my point on tailored communication. So different stakeholders have different concerns, right? So we customize messaging for executives, managers, and end users so that everyone gets the right level of details and the relevance. The next bit turns out to be encouraging active participation. That willingness to be part of it is very important for end users and everyone in the organization, including the leadership. For leadership, it's very, very important because they are the ones who are driving this entire vision. And instead of just rolling out change, I involve business units in co-creating solutions. This not only enhances ownership, but also improves adoption, right? People know what they are doing, why they are doing it. Then we do leverage change champions early as well. And it's a strong network of influencers, basically, with change leaders and change champions within the organization that helps drive engagement at the grassroots level. So these champions advocate for the change and support their peers. Additionally, continuous feedback and improvement is critical. So we use town halls, focus groups, and sentiment tracking to keep a pulse on how people are feeling and what they need, making adjustments as we go.
Right.
Okay. So at the end of the day, it's about making sure stakeholders feel heard, supported, and invested in the change.
Correct.
In short, it's not just implementation, it's transformation, and that starts with people.
True. I really like the concept of co-creation, which you said. I think it's very much the skin in the game, which you are trying to put in. That yes, they would own it when they have also a say in that whole thing. And yes, leaders need to understand that this is just not an expense item. It has to kind of contribute to your productivity some way down the line. And I think those alignment of vision, which you spoke about, is like so apt to start the whole thing with. So how do you see this ERP implementation and change management evolving? And how have you seen a journey of it happening? Like we started in bits and where are we now? And how do you see it happening in the next few years? Ashima, Nidhi, you both can take this question.
Let Ashima respond to that first, and maybe I can add something. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look ahead as we, move toward an era of cutting-edge technology, evolving workplaces. I think ERP systems and change management are about to experience some very exciting transformations. I picture it as a future where ERP solutions just aren't tools, but intelligent, intuitive partners that collaborate with us, solving problems before we even spot them. In the coming years, ERP and change management will shift from simply getting people to adopt system to creating experiences that empower employees and spark innovation. The systems themselves will evolve to be smarter, with more AI-driven solutions that learn from user interactions and offer, real-time suggestions to improve workflows. So just imagine an ERP that adapts to your working style, providing helpful tips, shortcuts, process optimization recommendations, much like a personal assistant, And change management, will it evolve too? Yes, the role of change management will move from being reactive to proactive. Instead of waiting for resistance or confusion, I suppose we will be using continuous feedback and predictive analytics to anticipate challenges even before they surface. So change management won't just be a support function, but will become a strategic partner, driving transformation, engaging employees, ensuring that these employees have the tools and the mindset needed to thrive in a rapidly changing world. So I will divide this into two parts. I think it should be, in the future, it should be called Change Management 2.0. Which would basically be anticipating and not reacting. Goodbye to reactive change management. In the next few years, we'll see a shift to this predictive change management, where data analytics, sentiment analysis to foresee potential struggles that employees might face will come up, And instead of rushing to solve issues after they arise, we'll be offering support when it's needed most, ensuring that there is a smoother transition every step of the way. And the second part of this, what's coming next in few years, is I think a more focus on hyper personalized user experiences. In the future, I think change management will be as personalized as ERP systems themselves. So just as an ERP will adapt to an individual's workflow, change management will tailor its approach to each employee's, each persona's unique needs and learning styles, rather than just offering one size fits all training sessions or generic communication plans and change management plan. Change management will deliver a customized support, from personalized training paths to targeted resources based on role, location, and experience level. The idea, I think, there would be to make the entire change journey more relevant, effective, and empowering for each person, giving them the tools not just to adapt, but to thrive with the new system. And I defer back to now Nidhi coming into picture and sharing more insights from her end.
No, what you've mentioned, Ashima, I 200% agree with that. Every point. So in fact, I would say I second every thought there. All I can summarize in terms of what you've mentioned, just to make it a little more into context, is that ERP and change management are definitely leveling up. AI-driven ERPs will automate tasks, predict needs, while small nudges and behavioral insights, which you were mostly talking about as, hyper-personalized change journey, that will make the entire change smoother and more personalized. I also see a shift towards ERP rollouts being, agile, more agile, I would say, with smaller iterative deployments instead of one big launch that was pretty popular earlier. And then real-time experience tracking will fine-tune adoption with, of course, ESG, the talk of the town, which is environmental, social, governance being in focus. ERP will evolve to support sustainability and compliance. Okay, so that's important piece. I also see a shift towards agile ERP rollouts, which are, again, which are smaller instead of bigger launch. So that's very, very important for us to keep in mind. And yes, the sustainability and compliance gaining focus is the talk of the town.
True. What I can say is what I've heard from you both. I think for for whoever will listen to this conversation, for them at least the concept of go live definitely changes. So go live is not your system going live. It has to be a lot more work. And if you are rightfully with your predictive analysis, integrating change management with ERP right from the beginning, this journey becomes even smoother for your end users. I think if the end users want to use a system and is gaining the benefit, and that you are able to demonstrate right from the start, everybody's work becomes much easier. So yeah, just waiting for the evolution happening from both ends, from ERP and change management. Thank you, both of you. I think that this was absolutely enlightening and great conversation, at least I've had.
Yes, same here. We loved the entire set of conversation. And I think both of us are so passionate about change management that we can talk about it for hours. So yeah, no, thank you for having us here and giving us the opportunity to share our experiences.
Same here, Sudeshna. Thanks for letting us have this platform for sharing our thoughts. Yeah, it was.
I think when you get the right experts who have both the passion and the expertise, I think, the words flow, and you say, yeah, we all can talk about change management, I think, for hours. Yes, we can. But what you spoke was so apt, and I'm sure, the MARG Change Leader Forum will get immense benefit from this. So please keep watching MARG Change Leader Forum community, and you would have our experts who are equally passionate with what they do share with you insights from their rich experiences. Thank you so much.